Hello, hello. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. It's a massive elephant herd. Can we say herd for elephants? Anyhow, in my room, there's probably like five huge elephants, and I can't even move anywhere around. So now it's time that we stop pretending that they're not here and we tackle them heads on. Let's talk about the 12 days of Aries. So, if you're new here, I talk a lot about energy. All about energy, all sorts of energy. We talk about, hello, when you, people think, oh my goodness, this platform is so all over the place, but it's not. It all comes down to the same thing, understanding the energies that affect us and overcome them. So we are here, we're talking about the tools because, if it's raining outside, you want to go outside with an umbrella. That way you're ready to tackle the day. We don't want to be these people who going outside without an umbrella when the weather channel tells you that it's pouring outside, but then you're like, oh. And the next thing you know, you're mad, you grumpy because you feel like the rain ruined your cute outfit. You know what I mean? Or you had like a work meeting, but then you showed up all soaking wet because you weren't ready. So I don't want it to seem like we're super controlling here, but that's the point of all the things that I do here. It's pretty much comes down to the same thing, giving ourselves tools to do life and empower ourselves. On that note, I digress already. Let's talk about the 12 days of Aries. Right now, we are actually in the middle of an energetic, I call it energetic storm. No one calls it like that, but I call it that way because that's what it feels like to me. The 12, okay, so what is the 12 days? I feel like this episode today is where Kabbalah is gonna meet up with a little bit of astrology in a way, and there is Kabbalistic astrology, so which I really do believe that this is where the whole like evolutionary astrology come from, the whole notion of astrology, but from our soul perspective, and this is pretty much what I do here. I'm always talking about the soul, our soul, and astrology is literally like is a tool. Like the creator like put up this whole system. The light put up this entire system for us to have this beautiful adventure on this planet, and also to do the for the soul to do the to go through the schooling that it came here to do to go through. So what's happening right now is that we are in the middle of the 12 days of Aries, which is literally like the first 12 days of the season of Aries. You know how we have Capricorn, Pisces. No, it's Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, and then Aries. And then Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and the cycle starts again. So it ended with Pisces as the 12th sign, and then it starts again a new cycle with Aries. And all the astrologers all around the world were talking about it like crazy because we've had a lot of planetary movements, and even now in the month of Aries we're going to still have a lot of planetary movement. So a lot of things that haven't been shifted for years, decades, like we're talking about centuries, a lot of things are moving. So it's really this new era, this new beginning. It's the starting, and I even made a recording last time talking about Saturn conjunct Neptune in at 0 degree Aries. So Saturn, which was okay, no, I'm not gonna get into it. I recorded that episode I think a couple of weeks back, so you can just go and look that up. But what I want us to say is that Aries is a big deal in a way because it's the beginning of the cycle again. And now we're going to insert some Kabbalistic astrology in there, some Kabbalistic knowledge in there, Kabbalistic wisdom. It tells you that the first 12 days of Aries are very sacred because it is the time period where we are planting a seed for the entire year. So those first 12 days of Aries, each day represent a different month, the different zodiac of the year. And that way, this is also why I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna talk about this. This episode today is gonna be it's gonna be real. I'm not gonna take the approach of the perfect like theoretical what you should do and how amazing it is. I'm gonna take the approach. I'm gonna take a bit of a low road here, talking about how intense this period is. and explaining a little bit why it's intense and giving you the idea behind it. And then if you're feeling overachieving, then you could try to do some work around that. But it's not gonna be selling like some crazy like theories in this session, because I'm gonna be honest with you. 12 days of Aries was really hard for me, especially at the beginning, and it's not a coincidence. So those 12 days of Aries are very intense because each of those days represent a different month of the year. And it's pretty much you experiencing the entire intensity of the year all like wrapped up and sped up into 12 days. So it's like a capsule, the energetic capsules of each month that is delivered to you back to back, back to back, back to back. So in other words, day one of Aries, the first day of Aries, right? The first day of Aries is gonna be representing, the first month of the astrological year, which is again the first zodiac sign, Aries. The second day, you get it. It's pretty much in order. The second day is Taurus. Third day, Gemini. Fourth day, Cancer. Fifth day, Leo. Sixth day, Virgo. Seventh day, we have Libra. 8 days, we have what comes after Libra? Scorpio. How could I forget my dear Scorpios? Ninth day, we have Sagittarius. The 10th day is Capricorn. 11th day is Aquarius. And then 12 days is Pisces. Whew. I got scared for a second here thinking I was miscounting. So this is what is every day is coming with the energetic seed of that month. It's pretty much a preview of what that month is going to be like energetically. And now this is a big deal in Kabbalah, according to Kabbalah wisdom, because it's telling you that during those 12 days you have the opportunity to change those 12 days, as in to change your destiny in a way by mastering the energy in those 12 days. Then that pretty much you are setting yourself for a great 12, months of the year. Now, on paper, it sounds really great and very easy, but in reality, it's not. When is it ever as easy as it is, as they say? So, and also I wanted to say that energy is affecting everyone, whether you signed up or not. Welcome to the club. So it's kind of the same thing, guys. I go back to this example again and again because it's such the perfect example to me. It's like gravity. It doesn't matter if someone is delusional, doesn't wanna partake in gravity. Gravity is there, okay? It doesn't matter. It applies to everyone on this planet Earth. So Aries, the first 12 days of Aries is very intense because you're experiencing the entire energy of the year through the Aries energy through every single sign as a filter. So you're experiencing Aries energy as the, let's say in the Taurus day, on the second day, you're experiencing Aries energy through Taurus. So now you can imagine where the tension can come from. For example, Taurus is not necessarily known for, like, Aries energy is very intense. It's a fire sign. It's a go, go, go. Let's initiate things. We do first, we act first, and we think later. Now, Taurus energy is not quite like that. Taurus energy is a very stable, earth sign. That's why it's even, the stereotype is even like, not quite a stereotype, but it tends to, it's firm, it's stabilizing, it doesn't move that fast. It's there to steady thing. It's like the earth, things are steady. The earth doesn't move. Well, the earth is moving, like there's a lot of movement, we can feel it, but generally when we're on planet Earth, we're not necessarily feeling like we're drifting left and right. The earth is very stable. Unlike, let's say, the air element, which is always moving everywhere, even water element, which is stable sometimes, but underneath the water, there's lots of things going on, right? There's lots of current. But like earth is just, it's there. It's grounding, boom. It establishes itself, and it establishes safety and groundedness. So now when you have Aries energy pushing through that tension, now you can imagine where there might be so much friction, and why in turn you and I are feeling that crazy friction. Because it's intense. It's the entire energy of the month of Taurus, for example, that is delivered to you in just that one seed day. Do you know what I mean? So what does it feel like? It feels like, you're not crazy if you feel crazy intensity shifting so dramatically, okay? You're feeling different emotional feelings very fast. It's like, let's say at 8 a.m., you might feel super joyful, and then 8:05, you're super sad. 8:10, you're absolutely furious. Like, honestly, I like this is intense because usually my days don't go like that. I'm fortunate to kind of be stable in there. So I feel these sort of ups and down in the day to day life. Most of us, we all go through ups and downs and fluctuation, but they tend to be a little bit more smoother. There's more space. But during the first 12 days of Aries, it's coming at you. It reminds me of back in Canada in winter when they tell you you get all four seasons in one day. It's the same thing in Aries. You get everything within the hour. Okay. So that's what I wanted to talk about. Just making sure I'm recording because I'm known for like giving a whole podcast episode without pressing the record button. Oh, wild stuff. Okay, so you're not crazy if sometimes it's calm and then suddenly it's overwhelming. Okay, so and it's not random; it's cycling, and also there's a pattern. The beginning of those 12 days of Aries tend to be, maybe we could say like the first 4 days tend to be the most intense for most people. I concur that was the case for me. By the way, for FYI, for sake of transparency, or maybe you're curious, I'm recording this. It doesn't even matter. Every year it's the same thing. Every year since the beginning of time till the end of time, it's the same. We have it's like a curriculum at this time of the year, 12 days of Aries. We all go through the same pattern, the same curriculum. So even if you're listening to this in 2026, in year 5000, I'm exaggerating, but you get the point. If you're listening to this next year and 5 years from now, this episode still applies. This is why I go crazy, and I release all these episodes because it doesn't even matter. Like, even if I say 2026, you just replace the year by whatever year you are, but it's still, this episode will still apply next year, in 2 years, 3 years, in 5, 10, 20, 50, 100 years, because that's just the way the world and the metaphysical connection, the upper worlds and the lower worlds in our world, that's how it's set up. The energetic flow, the energetic highway is set up that way. So the beginning tends to hit hard. For me, it was like that too. Let's say probably the first 4 days. The middle tends to be where, because at first it's like, oh my god, what is going on? Whoa! It's just like every beginning, it's hard. You're not ready for that, especially coming from Pisces season, which is a bit more like internal, a bit more mellow. Like more introspective, and then boom, you thrown into like Aries intensity and feistiness. You're gonna feel it. Okay. The change, the switch is very drastic, so it's gonna hit you hard. And in the middle, it tends to be the middle is still challenging, but it's a little bit different. I noticed that the middle part, let's say the 4 days in the middle, what's the 4 days in the middle? The 4 days in the, like things like Virgo, and Virgo and Libra, those days tend to be by that time you tend to be exhausted, but also they carry a different type of energetic charge, more like relational stuff. So this is where you kind of have to be careful a bit for like relationship friction, or like snapping around, on your people you love, on your loved ones, at work and things like that, because it's just that energy in the middle. And towards the end, honestly, it's straight up, for most people, it's straight up like they've given up. It's like overwhelmed, that's it, there's no more juice left, and lots of over processing. Again, this is why I wanted to remove the pressure of, the goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to let the energy move through you, and also to restrict, to restrict as much as you can or to delay reactivity as much as you can. Again, we're talking about Aries. Nothing against my Aries, but I have a lot of Aries in my life, quite a few. I love all of them dearly, and Aries is just not known for like peacemaking or anything like that. It's not a coincidence that the second we entered Aries, pretty much like all hell started breaking loose around the world. Like we do have a lot of confrontation going on. That is just the Aries energy, and I guess someone got to do it, so it is the Aries. So again, there's no sign that is entirely bad or entirely good. I mean, purely perfect or entirely, evil. We each sign is like neutrality. Okay, it just carries both sides, and then it's just in equilibrium. So I wanted to talk about something that is very, very important. If you are someone who are conscious doing the work, you're aware, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it all. You might not have the words to explain. You might not even, you might not have the words to explain it. For example, before watching this or listening to that, maybe you didn't have any awareness of 12 days of Aries, right? But if you are doing some work, internal, like let's say shadow work, internal work, or you tuning into yourself, meditation, learning to listen to yourself, learning to understand yourself better, I'm pretty sure you might have noticed that there was something different in the, since the Aries season started. It's like things are different. You more snappy, you more cranky, you more irritated, you very like ready to explode. Okay, so I wanted to say I personally believe it's a good thing because awareness is key and awareness is everything. There's like Rav Berg, one of the major Kabbalah teachers, was saying that all the time. Consciousness is everything. And think about it. If we don't have consciousness, you can't really do anything. Again, last time I brought that example already. When I was looking for my lotion, it was my hand lotion. It was in my fanny pack. Kept looking for it for crazy. And I couldn't find it. Or sometimes you have a problem and then until like some friend says something and then they deliver some answer that you haven't even, some perspective that you haven't even considered. So that's why it's like consciousness is everything because it opens a different door and it opens things up. So what I wanted to say about those other people who think they're above these type of things or who think they don't feel anything. I just want to say a word, not to be judgy, but just because we need to talk about these things. I wanted to say that the reason why a lot of people feel like they're above, I know a lot of people like that. My ex personally was like that. Disclaimer. It's that a certain arrogance making fun of spirituality or thinking that they're above these things. But when you take the lens and you look deeper, no, they're not. What is often happening is that they're actually under the influence of these energies even worse. It's almost like when you have zero restriction, because when we have awareness, we can know what's going on and we restrict. It's kind of like the umbrella example I gave earlier. We know what's happening, we can go out there ready. But if you're not aware and you're thinking you're above, this is when you get very arrogant. You go outside and guess what happens? The rain hits you harder than everyone else. So grounding it back, what that means is that by being aware of these energies, we can know, all right, this is Aries. Aries tend to be very fast. Act first, think later. I know I'm working with that energy, so I can apply twice effort to slow things down. This is why we're learning all these things. It's not so we could stand on top of a mountain and think we're smarter than everyone else. It's literally so that we can use the information to counteract whatever's happening. But when you think you so cocky and you think you don't need to know these things, you above everyone, you're not silly, you don't believe in those things and all of these excuses and all of these reasoning that we often hear from people who, what often happen is that now in the 12 days of Aries, that energy is just going to control you. It's going to have absolute control over you and destroy you. It's the same thing in astrology. I keep repeating over and over again. I don't do astrology in a way to tell you, oh, poor you, you are a Capricorn, so you're just gonna be limited in such and such way. You a Scorpio, forget it. You're always gonna be resentful and jealous and blah blah blah. There's nothing you can do about it. I don't do astrology like that. I know there's some people who do it like that, but for me, astrology is You know what your energy is? Good. It's like you got the cheat the you got the cheat sheet. I almost couldn't say that word. You got the cheat sheet in the exam. Now you better go out there and ace that exam. That's why we're doing all of these things. Okay. So in the same way, what happens is when these people think they're above all these things, they're just totally under the influence of the energy and they have no real chance of rising above it. Do you know what I mean? It's like now this is very intense Aries energy in the air. If you don't know, you're just gonna go to work, you're just gonna snap at everyone, you're just gonna yell at your partner, you're just gonna yell at your kids, yell at everything. And then after the season pass, when things calm down in Taurus season, because every month it's almost like we all become that zodiac sign, by the way. We all get affected by that energy of the month. So now after that energy passes, then the next month, no one wants to call you, no one wants to talk to you, you lose friends, you've lost, perhaps, God forbid, your relationship is like, shaky now. So that's why we want to know these things. And also because we don't want to be fully, we don't want to be victim of these energies, right? We want to use them and use them as fuel to power our next level of growth. And also one last thing I'm going to say about denial. One last thing I want to say about denial, because I get so triggered by that. I understand everyone has their process and I try my best to live and let live. But a lot of times we would see people that are in denial are numbing a lot. Numbing with Tinder, with social media scrolling, doom scrolling, alcohol, drugs, a big one, using others for energy and emotional regulation. We see that in relationships so much, way too much. Where you see, let's say the one partner is very spiritual, the other one is not, or one partner is into soul searching or deep work, deep growth, self work. They do all that stuff. They introspect, and the other partner is not, thinking they're perfect. Which is such a red flag because no one is perfect. And what often tends to happen is these people have no tools. They don't want to take accountability for themselves. What often happens is that they're regulating themselves through that other poor partner that's doing all the work. Do you know what I mean? So that other partner who's doing all the work would often be caught up in soothing that person without the tools and, doing all of these extra emotional work. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't know why I felt compelled to segue into that. So all this, the reason why I think I wanted to say that is because sometimes we tend to feel really bad when we're experiencing all of these energies, like we're thinking, what is wrong with us? My love, there's nothing wrong with you. If something you're saying because you're not sleeping, you're not sleepwalking through life. So don't feel bad if you're really having a hard time right now. Again, like I said, to wrap things up, the assignment is restriction. So we need to delay reactivity and hold that actually not delay it, but try to hold it. Worst case, delay it, but let's hold it as much as we can. And I wanted to wrap up quickly with just giving you some tips about how to move through those 12 days or any difficult moment in life, really, without burning out. One thing that I like to do is prioritize environment. I personally love to be near water because water has a very soothing effect on me, and I think on humans in general. I understand that not everyone can be near water, but you can bring the water to you. It could be like a window, if you're lucky enough to live by a water body, or a river or a lake, or it could just be like literally a glass of water. Take the time to meditate on it. It will really soothe your nervous system. Avoid crowded enclosed space. This one is a Miss Mono. Obviously, it's self-explanatory. It's just crowds amplified friction and exhaustion. And we want to manage sensory input. I know. Most people, I mean, if you hear already, you already know I'm always talking about social media, but we're not going at it today. I just want to remind us that often we feel like we're taking a break and relaxing when we're scrolling on social media, but it's often doing the opposite effect. So we want to minimize external stimulation, unnecessary stimulation, things like lights, like neon lights, noise, and clutter. All of these things really intensify our nervous system. And I also realized that lately I've been really into, I mean, I've always been into them, disclaimer, but lately even more, I'm really into neutral aesthetics. And there's a reason why, like the whole like boho chic, like the whole boho chic Bali vibe that was going viral on Instagram a few years ago, the whole beige look, and some people hated it. But there's a reason why it was viral. There is something about those colors that really soothe our nervous system. The whole beige, the neutral colors, the gray, the white marble. It's just it holds you. It doesn't just assault your nervous system like with red. And colors do matter. And I should probably do an episode about that. I actually think I started working. Actually, no, I do have it in my topics outline I want to talk about. I should bump up the priority. Anyhow, moving on. We also want to, so we keep grounding spaces around us. We also want to keep routine simple. Listen, this is not the time to be, overachieving. If you can be overachieving through that period of time, you're probably a fire sign. Even then, even my fire sign friends are still, they're still having a hard time. So even if you have a lot of fire in your chart, you can still, there is something, what's the saying? Too much of a good thing, you can still have too much of a good thing also. So just keep it simple. Okay, we're just trying to get through and flow with the energy rather than resisting it. This is why the goal of 12 days of Aries is for us to be less restrictive and also to just learn to let it flow through us. So because Aries already pushes impulses, so we want to counter react that, but not just like with the holding, not lashing out at people, but just, it's okay if you want to cry in bed, just cry in bed. It's okay. This is not the time to shame yourself. Okay, holding it together is already, you're doing great. Okay, you're doing great. Obviously, as usual, physical movements always help. Things like walking, swimming, running, anything you can do to like move the energy through you. Again, so we want to, and remember, like, try to keep perspective. For me, it was very, very important to know that, all right, I'm still in the beginning. I can apply more effort to counter react that energy through like walking more, eating healthy, listening to more music, because music tends to be very regulating to me. So I spent a lot of the the beginning stage just listening. Some nights, some days, it would be like for 30 minutes straight, I would have my headset on my phone. Big fan of like the Sony headset, by the way. This is not sponsored. I wish this was. But like the whole like XM series, I love those headsets. And I put it on my in my ears, blast out my music. I don't know why it's so weird, but lately during Aries, I've been really into like a gangster music vibe. I spent my entire life hating this type of music, but now it's just, I think it's something about the bass that is really moving the energy. So lately it's been very, not deep gangster music, because I've always kind of like this artist, but lately it's been a lot more of not Trevor, Travis Scott, and listen, the lyrics are not the best. It's just like extreme moments in life require extreme measures. Okay, so I would find myself plugging into this type of music on loud, and the bass is just, it's just washes the energy, the stuck energy out of my body, and it just flows, and so much release after that. So find whatever works for you. I'm just sharing these as just to give you ideas about what can work for different people. And lastly, I want to say, observe, right? Don't make try not to make big commitments. It's not the time. And if you're an overachiever, you might want to reflect, journal, gentle processing what's staring you more on what day, what moment of the day. Personally, I didn't do any of that because that was too much work. For me, I needed all the energy. I needed all the energy to focus on surviving, especially the first 4 days. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Energy buffers, like water tends to really, remember that water tends to really absorb energy already. So if you can find yourself access to that, just definitely do it and limit exposure to high energy. And it's very important for us to accept that exhaustion is part of the experience. Nothing's wrong with you, like I said. It's just part of the experience. I think I'm going to end with my if there's any overachievers who wanted to, because remember we said those 12 days of Aries are like planting a seed for the year. If any one of you wanted to be overachieving and actually, have an impact on that, that each month of the year for you, you just invest more into the assignment of the day. You just interact more with the energy in the sense of like every day has an assignment per se. Let's say you wanted to overachieve. There's different levels to this, to 12 days of Aries. Some of us are just trying to survive. Hello, yours truly. I'm raising my hand. And others are just absolutely loving it. And they're just like doing, you know what? I'm going to take ownership of this 12 months of the year and I'm going to like do the best. If that's you, I'm so happy for you. So I'm going to give you some example of how you could do that. For example, each day has an assignment. Let's see if I remember that because this goes beyond the scope of the outline I had for this episode today. I didn't. Are we still recording? Yes, we are. So, oh gosh. Let's see if I can remember. Okay, so I'm ending this part one and I'm going to continue in a part two because this is getting way too long. In the next part, we're going to talk about exactly the assignments that we're supposed to do on each of those days of Aries. And it's this episode goes beyond days of Aries. It's literally, in a way, I'm talking about shadows of each zodiac sign and how you can overcome them. So even if this is outside of Aries, you can definitely still go watch that episode. And as usual, if you want to book a reading with me, birth chart reading or any other astrological, transits and timings, definitely all my links are down below. And I will see you in the next one, my love. Keep shining bright like a diamond.